Do you also believe that Stradivari makes better instruments than me? Today we go into this subject. Christian has reserved a very interesting video for me to look at it. I will look now for the first time to it and I will comment it right here and we go into this sparkling subject.
Even if you have never touched a violin before, there's a pretty good chance that you have heard of the violin maker Stradivarius. For many in the music world, it is a name synonymous with unparalleled quality. Stradivarius instruments have a sound that is supposedly impossible to find anywhere else. For centuries, musicians, instrument makers...
The violin, by the way, is the Stradivari Hellier, a very nice one.
Engineers and scientists have been trying to understand and reproduce the Stradivarius sound. They've investigated everything from the materials their maker used to how he crafted the violins, but the mystique is still there. The mystique is still there is not true. Has been true until 15 years ago. In the last years, a lot of things have been discovered and there's a little bit, but there are lots of videos like this online, huh? Antonio Stradivari was a violin maker who lived in the northern Italian city of Cremona in the late 1600s and early 1700s. Today, only around 650 Strads remain, and they are among the world's most sought-after instruments. They've been described as having a silvery quality to their sound, which is easy to say, but it means nothing to me, and it's much harder to describe scientifically.
Since it doesn't mean anything to him, it's already a clear sign that it's difficult to judge the sound of a Stradivari if you're not into it. And especially if you don't play and you're not into this trade. And there are a lot of videos and newspaper articles because it's somehow attracting and everybody is the secret of Stradivari, but it's actually already bypassed already. Too many sound checks have been made where contemporary new-made instruments actually are considered to sound even better than original old instruments. But still it remains that the old instruments are actually still very much appreciated, but that's a different thing. Let's hear here. Hope.
Scientists from all sorts of disciplines have tried to uncover the mysteries of Stradivari. So to understand the Stradivari sound, let's start with how any violin gets its sound in the first place. 4 strings are kept tight between tuning pegs on one end and the tailpiece on the other. The strings are suspended between the nut and the bridge, which are both attached to the body. The tuning pegs can be twisted to adjust the string's tightness. Drag a horsehair bow across the strings, and they vibrate.
Damn, they have the worst violin they show here, huh? Too low bridge, the bow pulled too much, and it's really dirty, but anyhow.
Vibration is then transferred into the body by the nut and the bridge. And it's the body that makes a violin sound like a violin. But not everything in the violin vibrates at the exact same frequency. Some parts vibrate at multiples of the frequency, like 880 or 1320, and those are called harmonics. The shape and material of the body can amplify some harmonics while dampening others.
About the harmonics and the sound itself, my friend Andreas Langhoff, we paid dinner a few days ago to Andreas. He actually dedicated a lot of time into this measuring the sound and what is actually different on an antique instrument or from one instrument to another one, from an antique instrument to a contemporary one. And if you look at these graphics, it's very difficult actually to understand a difference and what it actually makes that a Strat is perceived a Strat and a Guarnieri, a new violin like this and an old one like that. There are only very, very few harmonics which are actually different, and like Andreas Langhoff or other acoustic physics specialized in this field are able to see differences and they are completely inside. As for all things, you have to be completely inside to understand these things, but there are differences, okay?
There have even been studies that try to find the differences in the way Stradivari violins vibrate with 3D scans, but they couldn't detect much that was special. On top of that, Strads have a lot of variety in shape, and yet they all reportedly produce the highest quality sound.
22,200 subscribers on my channel. You can't imagine how much sweat, brainstorming, and effort it is to make something like this without buying a single subscriber. So right now I'm trying to buy you. It doesn't cost you anything, you know. Come on. Of course, not every instrument of Stradivari which we have now is the best sounding violin. There are strats and strats. There are some strats you can get them already for 1 million and others you won't even get them for 15, okay?
How about the material the body is made from? Violin bodies usually consist of a combination of different woods. The bottom and sides tend to be made of maple, while spruce is preferable for the top. But not just any bit of wood will do. The best violin woods are stiff and strong to hold up against the tension of the strings, yet spring back to shape after being bent to create vibration. Stradivari famously used alpine spruce for the tops of his violins. It grows slowly, resulting in grain that is close together and straight. And that tends to make it strong, but still light and elastic, exactly what violin makers look for. Stradivari also happened to live at the edge of Europe's Little Ice Age, a 70-year period of unseasonably cold weather that lasted from 1645 to 1715. That slowed tree growth and made for even more consistent wood. A group in Switzerland tried to replicate this with an unusual tool: fungus. By treating spruce and maple with fungi that altered the wood's cellular structure, they created materials similar to those Stradivari used. The fungi would eat some of the cell walls and the thicker parts of the wood, evening out the density overall. They even made violins out of the fungus-treated wood, which they call biotech Stradivariuses. These biotech violins apparently sound great, and some think that they are comparable to the real deal. There's also a theory that Stradivari treated his wood with salts and smoke.
All these fungus and salt treatment and all, everything has a little bit of something true in it, but me personally, I think this is just a matter of how the wood has been transported, and then it got some salt of the lagoons of Venice inside, or the fungus in a different way because it hasn't been not dried immediately or stuff like this. But after all, it's more the great craftsmanship of Stradivari, and then over the years that it has been always considered the best, so it has been always treated very well from great violin makers. Yeah, this is another thing which people cannot understand, because for most people, the audience for this video, they don't make a difference between violin maker and violin maker, but there are huge differences, right? So again, something is a little bit here.
Stradivari violin wood really is different, but because Stradivari never wrote down his process, researchers can't quite tell why. They can only try to reverse engineer it based on what the wood looks like today. After testing maple from 3 different strads, they found normal chemical changes due to age, but also elevated levels of metals like aluminum, calcium, and copper, which hints at some kind of special treatment. The researchers believe Stradivari's chemical treatment, whatever it was, might have been unique. On top of their material advantages, though, Strads also have the benefit of age. Among other things, wood dries out with age, subtly altering its characteristics. As wood gets older, it's less able to stop itself vibrating, a property known as dampening. But Stradivari had competitors like Giuseppe Guarneri, who would have had access to the same wood, and their violins are just as old. So the age of the wood isn't the whole answer either.
It seems like Guarneri is really bad and only Stradivari. Another mistake of this video.
Stradivari was undoubtedly very skilled at making violins, had access to some great materials, maybe used some secret chemistry, and perhaps a fine violin just gets better with age. But what makes Stradivari violins sound unique? But wait, we haven't asked this question. Are they actually unique? Do they really sound better than anything we could make today? Scientists set up double-blind tests in 2017 in which players who didn't know whether they were playing a modern violin or a Strad played for an audience that didn't know either. And when asked which sounded better, neither the players nor the audience could reliably tell them apart. In fact, many actually preferred the sound of the modern instrument.
Indeed, nowadays, you can actually resume things. If an instrument finished right now from my working bench, definitely you can tell that it's a contemporary, modern-made violin. But if you play it for a few months already and you adjust it and you get it adjusted every week, every month to be always on top of the top, it's very difficult for an old, same well-treated Stradivari to compete. That's my opinion, and more often I can see that. Apparently it seems that violin making is just the same profession like hundreds of years ago, while all these scientists and researchers are coming already into violin making, and people nowadays have access to all this information via the internet, which helps every single maker. Then, of course, it really depends on the maker himself, how much he's interested to it, informing himself about the whole whole thing and is able to put it into reality. Because if you just in the beginning, when you make instruments, you hear all this information, you're not able to put these informations into your daily process of making. So you need a certain experience. So you need your time to involve and increase your quality. So this is very interesting, actually. Huh?
The answer in the end lies with psychology. When musicians know they're playing a one-of-a-kind instrument passed down through generations of the world's greatest players, they might feel special and important, and maybe that helps them play better. And when we listen to someone who we know is playing a $1 million Stradivarius, we feel special and important.
It's a little bit like you're driving an old Bugatti, and now you tell me that a new Ferrari or a new Bugatti is much better. Of course. But there's no problem to pay 10, 15, 20 times more for an old Bugatti or Ferrari or whatever. It's the historical part. And on the violins, you can compare them. There's certainly some part on an antique instrument is definitely different. When you play it yourself, you can feel it. For the audience, most of the audience is not trained to listen to these differences, yeah? The historical value will always remain the historical value. So we don't have to be afraid that now us contemporary makers are so good that at a certain point, like a stock market, there's a price crash of the Stradivarius because they don't sound better anymore than an Edgar violin. No, it's just nowadays for a reasonable price, less than 50,000 at the time, you can still buy an instrument of mine and it sounds probably better than an old instrument. If you take care and every single thing there is a little bit. You have to be pretty much a sound freak. Otherwise, if you just buy it and then you pretend that it will always sound better than a Stradivari, it doesn't work like this. You have to be constantly on it, and musicians who play my instrument before they have a recording, they show up, fine adjust it, and then they go for the recording. And that's the way how you have to treat it. It's a little bit with your car. If you just pretend that you turn the key and it starts and it runs perfect, it might work for you, but most of the cars, there's always a little bit something to do. Same with violins, yeah?
After 400 years, we might have uncovered some of the chemistry, physics, and biology that go into making a violin a Strad. But ultimately, maybe the magic of a Stradivarius really comes down to the shared experience of music, history, and science.
Yeah, there was actually an interesting video. I think I said already everything. For me, a little bit boring. And as I explained to you already, you have to be into it in order that you can understand the difference and that you can appreciate the historical beauty and even sound beauty of a Stradivari. And then Stradivari will always remain this god in violin making because he was one of the first ones who settled down a little bit and reflected on what he was doing, and you can definitely see that. Now, if you look at this video, it seems like the Stradivari was an analphabet, but if you come to Cremona and you go into the museum, you will see that he wrote a lot of things on all his templates and all these things. So I think he didn't really have any secrets or whatever. He just did it as a daily life work, and he didn't really make any big secret out of this trade, which was just simply great craftsmanship and the desire to make something beautiful which will last for a long time. And he succeeded very well, just like me. Ciao, ciao.